that can just flat out win you a game if you don't have the answers for it. They really don't have great answers. They have relocate. Queen of Pain is mobile. God is very unreliable with all the spiderlings moving around, just, you know, in traffic. So it's a hero that can put a lot of pressure on these supports, even if she dies. We've seen so many times the Brood can feed and still give the rest of the team enough space that they can carry the game.
Io's not a bad support against Brood. Seen just games in the past where you can just be sitting behind your carry, and as soon as the Brood pops up, or if you start harassing the carry, that's where you tether in with Dust and you get that slow into the Brood. So not a bad support to have against Brood, finding and picking him off. But what are you pairing with the Io here with this last pick? Heroes like Sven come to mind. Tiny's still available if they really want to go for it. The classic MVP, they were the ones who popularized the Io Bristleback, but that's where CDEC actually last banned Bristleback, something they used to run in the offlane. I don't know if that would have been possible. Maybe they could have done Queen of Pain safe lane against Brood. Still not a great matchup for Queen of Pain, but we'll see what the last pick's going to be. I imagine it's KP's hero to pair with the Wisp.
Well, good call on the Sven there, Gods. At the same time, sure, he's got a lot of AoE and control for the spider lanes, but generally as a Brood, you're not really looking to fight with the spider lanes. You're just split pushing, stealing their jungle camps.
Finding supports.
It's an okay Sven game. It's not bad by any means. And CDEC do not really have a great solution for a BKB, very angry, tethered Sven who's running right at you. But at the same time, I don't think they look to run into him. They just kite him, wait out the BKB, try to kill off some of the squishy heroes, and then they make their move.
And like you go late game, you've got a defensive weave, which can help negate that damage to some extent.
A very good counter to the Warcry as well as to the Sven's raw damage output.
So CDEC's last pick coming up. Still haven't got their mid hero, which to me...
They banned Bloodseeker here for MVP, a hero we have yet to see at all in the International 5. One of the most hated heroes in pubs, very annoying to play against, that's for damn sure, but not apparently a high priority pick or ban until this very late stage of the draft.
I think the Shadow Fiend and Viper are both strong, but they go Puck, so...
good at assassinating the Wisp, as well as dealing with that Queen of Pain.
Yeah, I think they decided, like, getting a Shadow Fiend or Viper just introduces another hero who's looking for farm. Brood takes a lot of farm, obviously. Brood just finds farm in the offlane as well as the enemy jungle. But they've also got the Gyrocopter, so they wanted that tempo controller. Since they haven't got the tempo control in the offlane, they say, we need something for Shiki, and Puck comes out for CDEC.
All right, Gods, here we go. Game number 2 of this best of 3. CDEC pulling out their secret weapon. Well, perhaps not so secret after the stat stock got shared with all the teams, but one of their best heroes in 6.84, the Broodmother. It throws a wrench into MVP's plans. They do have a lot of mobility here, but will they be able to track the Brood down? And even if they do, will XC create enough space for the rest of the team? That seems to be the big question. Is we'll start with the Quelling Blade. They're going to give him an Observer Ward, and they trot towards bottom. I was wondering if they'd maybe even dual lane. The heal bomb with the spider lanes can be really dirty, but if it's up against a potential tri-lane, may not be the way they want to go. As we see the trees already getting cut down by the Wisp, is going to set up for some potential stacking here for the Sven. Febby, certainly known for playing this here quite a bit as far as the Korean scene goes, and they will clear out all the trees pretty much. So with that, rushing the bottle, we'll want this first bounty rune to get the game underway. Once again, CDEC leading 1-0 in the best of 3. One more win, they're into TI, but should MVP take it, we go to that deciding and ever so exciting game number 3.
And what a world we live in, where carry players have to pull Tengos. KP has pulled 2 of his Tengos to teammates. They're actually going to find the Brood here at the bottom river, and he can't actually use the pathing.
Oh no, easiest first blood ever, XZ.
Who's taking it? Who's taking it? Someone take it.
They want the Sven. I think they wanted the Quap to have it for the early bottle, but in the end, KP says, fine, I'll take it. No problem for me. And they also secure the bottom bounty rune. So Febby will have his early bottle. The Queen of Pain off to a good start in her own right. Maybe it doesn't even go for one if Febby's going to dual lane. Maybe just rush something like the Treads here. We'll just have to wait and see. But the game gets underway with, once again, CDEC starting from behind. Every game this tournament, I believe they've started at a deficit. Still, they're 3-1 so far, so it's only enough to keep them on the back foot at the start, it seems.
Yeah, last game, I think maybe the smallest deficit, they were only ever behind by like maybe 1,500 net worth at most, but even so, it's just early game, they don't really seem to care about giving up a few kills here or there, so similar story. Kind of a dual lane mid. I think Febby's going to be much more prioritizing stacking than helping out mid lane. This is just going to be a classic Quap versus Puck matchup. Very even 50-50 matchup. Not much you should see coming out of it. It's going to be much more about what these heroes can get done in the mid game.
We will see a dual lane for now. It is the Dazzle Brood Gotta be careful of your positioning here. Now, you do have the war cry to mitigate some of the incoming damage from that heal, but it is still gonna hurt. And early on, we'll see if KP even skills it up. For now, holding his skill point, it seems. Already the stacking has begun as Febby rotates back onto mid. And they will actually move on to Shiki. Not the best kill potential with this dual lane, but they're more looking just to get ahead in terms of economy. Stack the jungle, constantly pressure Shiki, slow down that Blink Dagger, and he really is the big tempo controller for this team. So far off to a great start despite that. With the Wisp off in the jungle, already 7-1. We'll phase shift that initial scream. Very nicely played, and he's just trading auto attacks with both heroes and coming out on top.
It kind of coming out on top, but MVP are only trading poorly because they've got a bottle Wisp. So they can like take 500 damage and only do 200 damage, and they come out. It's better for them because they've got this Aya with a tether bottle, and it's almost 2 minutes.
Oh, they're going in. QO blinks forward to cancel the salve. Very nicely done. Will Shiki be able to farm the bottle here before he has to go back to base? The 2-minute rune's about to spawn.
But he just bought a salve. He realizes he's not going to reach bottle without bringing out more regen.
It's too risky. If you miss a couple last hits, then you have to walk home because the courier will take too long to get out to mid, and then you're really in a deep hole. So, like you said, we'll get the salve here. As Febby pops an invis and wraps around, he might even try to snipe the courier. Let's see if it backs off in time. It will. Cluckle's just furiously stomping those feet back towards the well. We'll make it out.
We've seen Cluckles hit the deck one too many times this tournament already, so Shiki makes it out. Actually finds a bounty rune. Looks like Queen of Pain left it, and...
Well, Shiki does have the orb back. This is going to force out a lot of regen. He sticks around for now. He's actually trying to go on QO, but the Wisp counterplay comes in here. The orb will connect. It's not going to be enough for the kill, and he ends up jaunting in. He'll go all the way back, but that puts his mana pool very low. May have one more illusory orb, but he just has to finish farming this bottle. And, well, I got to say, considering it's a dual lane, he's done pretty well so far. They're not really giving him a whole lot of support. Expecting to get it done on his own is... Let's take a look at the other lanes here. Looking at our Radiant offlane, March is getting his early levels. He's up against the safe lane Gyro. I think arguably the best safe laner to shut down a clock. If not the best, certainly one of the top few. And as long as you get your levels here, you're pretty much happy.
Yeah, he's getting what levels he can because Lion has full access to the pool camps, so Guard are going to just continue using these pools. Actually denies the pull from March with that little play there, so nice stuff there. Although March actually, no, he's still going to get it through, so Lion slightly mistimes that, and looks like, actually no, March will be interrupted, so.
Looks like meanwhile in the Radiant jungle, we've had 3 sentries drop down, and with that, there's just no pulling going on.
That's
whatsoever.
Some serious dedication.
Yeah, it looks like they even intentionally blocked the secondary pull camp there, so they dropped their own sentry within it. Maybe this is the game plan to slow down the Brood. Brood normally known for just stealing the pulls. Well, there's no pulls if you block them all.
So interesting to note, Sven's skill build, just the 1 point in Stormhammer. They're not going to be going for kills in lane, but they're prioritizing leveling up the cleave, so they'll be able to farm the stacks early. They'll also just be able to deal with the Broodlings in lane, and they're just not too worried about going for kills using the damage output of the Stormhammer.
Puck continuing to get harassed pretty heavily in the mid lane, but is getting his levels. They are going to make the move on bottom. 3 heroes as Garter rotates in, but this Sven just so tanky with the 1 point in Warcry. They can't even bring him below half HP. Despite the haster and despite the 3 hero rotation, Sven really seems to be the laning stage answer for the Brood. Giving no quarter as far as the tower goes, still farming beautifully, punishing the spiderlings. They're not really getting that much out of the Brood so far, it feels.
Yeah, they're still not getting a huge amount out of this. It's kind of like both heroes aren't
Round
getting a lot.
2, have I jinxed KP? Perhaps that's the case. He drops low, he war cries on his way out. XZ gonna go for this. He'll have another spawn spiderling soon. Doesn't quite have the mana for it. And now the Wisp rotates in. Suddenly it's try on try. Kind of a throwback lane, and it's Q who's on the run. Suddenly Garter with the stun, trying to slow this one down, but Nuts moves forward. He has the 1 point in Stormhammer. He gets 2 with it. There's the heal. Garter still retreating. KP, 1 swipe, he'll get it. 2-0 the score. MVP again, finding the early kills. Meanwhile, in the top lane, a dive onto the Clockwork, run down by the Rocket Barrage. Beautiful pick there by Aggressive. And kind of what you expect out of this lane. More often than not, you get the phase boots on Gyro, and Clock is just going to get caught out of position. So, in the end, he brings the game back towards even, but now he may die. He sticks up, he's going on QO, uses Blink offensively, underestimating that Rocket Barrage. 1 more auto tank with the phase boots. Can he get him? He will. Aggressive, finding 2 kills. Historically, for me, he's been the playmaker on this team, Gods, and he's doing it here. The team might be struggling elsewhere, but he makes something big happen on the top side of the map.
Yeah, 2 solo kills coming out of your gyrocopter in the safe lane. That is value. I mean, this is the kind of hero that can make those plays happen, but That's why CDEC pick him these years. That's where I was surprised going back to the opening game that they put him on a Viper, because he normally is that playmaker. And CDEC had that kind of slow early start where they weren't getting too many kills. Even in the mid game, they weren't finding kills because aggressive, their player who normally sets up the kills or finds them was on a Viper. This time around, though, a much more classic hero for him, and well, getting a lot done in the early game. And
you talked about it in game 1, and I think it's really worth highlighting again here that the game plan of MVP is almost always to get QO off to a hot start, but we'll talk about it in a second. Nuts taking a lot of damage here. Won't quite die to the spawn spiderlings. I think it might only be level 2. Didn't really do a whole heck of a lot there. Yeah, he still hasn't hit level 5 because he is in this dual lane. But despite the investment in QO, giving up a kill, it really hurts when you're committing the Wisp to it. Now, there are some stacks to maybe catch up with, but guess who's already hit level 6 and is rushing into the MVP jungle? Well, it's aggressive, finds his 3rd kill of the game. Your roaming gyrocopter rotates from a safe lane. He's just been a one-man wrecking crew wherever he goes, and he might even find the stacks now, gods.
Yeah.
If not 2 kills mid. Let's see. What's the play going to be here for Aggressive and Garter? They're waiting.
I feel like you know there's stacks there because you're versing a Wisp, and like he spends a lot of time in the jungle stacking. The question is, do you want to risk going for them? You put yourself in such a vulnerable position. They're going to go for kills and set Q on the
kill number 3. Whoa, he can't even blink. Aggressive again. 4 kills for your safe laner. Out of control and really pulling the team back into this game.
That is, with CDEC, it's not the safe lane farmer. It's a completely different role that you see coming out from Aggressive.
He lives up to the name, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, he's everywhere. Finding kills in the top lane, finding kills at the top river, then he goes bottom, then he goes mid. He's visited all 3 lanes, the jungle on both sides. This is just impressive play coming out from him. And
they also got some aggressive wards down. As we see the dive by the spiderlings. Sven forced to commit a Stormbolt and then the cleave just to deal with these pesky little buggers. In good news for MVP, I don't think the neutral stack was scouted. It wasn't warded, and it is available for MVP to clean up en route to trying to catch up here in terms of farm. So they have that in reserve.
Yeah, they're just in a tough spot right now. It's going to be very much a sit back, passively farm for quite a while, it feels like. I don't think they can actually get much done here. They can try find a pick off here or there, with, like whenever they have Sonic Wave. Maybe that's all they can really do as far as aggression goes and finding kills on the map. But outside of using QO Sonic Wave for kills, they've got very few options apart from sit back and play defensively, get their farm in their own jungle, and just deal with wherever CDEC move around the map. And CDEC on the move again. It's aggressive, smoked up with the Lion. These two just going everywhere.
Sven's found a double damager, and the Spiderlings were trying to drive Nuts back, and they are going to have the high ground advantage. The callout's there, connects on 2, the follow-up stun, 2 more kills. Aggressive on a mega kill streak. This game started 2-0, but you wouldn't know it from the current scoreboard. MVP, they've lost control of their jungle. The tier 1 bottom most likely next. With the ward that got placed down, every move seems to be getting scouted, and if this tower falls, gods, they're going to have a very tough time controlling the map from there. That's where Brood takes over. Even if she dies, she's always taking farm away from your team, preventing the stacks, and just being a nuisance. QO in danger mid. He is going to blink away. The Shiki puts the pressure on him. Doesn't have to blink quite yet, but there's the tier 1 down, and now they'll begin to tighten the noose up a little bit as they try to choke out MVP.
Yeah, I think the scary thing, rather than the Brood just been pushing up the lane further with the tier 1 tower down, is just, that complete access to the Radiant jungle. Because not only the Brood at this bottom lane, but having the Gyrocopter, the Lion, the Dazzle, all these heroes constantly down here applying pressure just limits where MVP can farm. The Sven...
Oh, QO gets scouted.
Lacking that kind of good initiation, more with the Paka missing, but
now they've got limited farm options here. Where's the Sven going to go? It looks like he rotates top. And the clock is 6, but who's he gonna kill? Puck's a very tough kill. Brood you really can't go for. The gyro jumping on him is suicide, so you've got to isolate a support or maybe combo with your team, but on his own march, he just doesn't have the big playmaking potential based on the hero matchups here, it feels.
He really wants to rush that blade mail, I imagine, as well, so he can fight Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter has picked up a fast drums, and well, that suits what he's doing right now. That's such a great item to kind of synergize with his playstyle and just how things are going for his team to help him snowball. But
MVP on the smoke. smoke. They're known for their 5-man Dota, and already, despite running the Wisp and the Queen of Pain, they're going 4 towards top, actually. The Wisp opted to sit around mid and just get experience. Febby, nowhere near level 6. Normally, if you're dual lane mid, you clear out that stack at the big camp, and you're pretty much there. But instead, CDEC not only getting the tier 1 bottom, now the tier 1 mid, they continue to push in, and they're going for a tier 2 mid with the Spiderlings here. This will drop quickly. This is not a good trade for MVP, but maybe it's all they've got. Already CDEC in the ultimate position to take huge chunks of map control.
And they saw the stacks
away
too.
from the Koreans.
So they can take this tier 2 and then just go for these stacks as well if they want to do so.
That's a gigantic swing of gold, of just presence around the map. And Roche is going to be next. You've got a Brood. They can certainly sustain themselves with the Dazzle there. So they'll clean up the stacks here, the call down coming out. And then I imagine CDEC going to be looking for something a little bit bigger than this.
Yeah. With Medallion on Brood, Roshan should be pretty straightforward for them if they want to go for that. They've got Spiderlings to tank and deal some extra damage. They've got Dazzle who can Shadow Wave the Spiderlings as well. They've got more than enough damage to bring down Roshan. Question is, do they think it's too risky? Because you've got Rocket Flares constantly coming out. You maybe just feel like, we don't really need to go for Roshan right now. It's something that can wait. Also, maybe they want to wait till they're ready to push high ground before they go for Roshan and try and grab the Aegis. The great thing about this drums build, to go back to that for Gyrocopter, is it's also a small line. When you go for the SMY, like we saw last game from KP, it means that BKB comes really late. With the drums into BKB, he's going to have the BKB around when a Clockwork will have his Blade Mail, which means you're not worried about that Blade Mail blowing yourself up when you get initiated on by a Clockwork.
Now, there is a lot of other damage here. The Queen of Pain pure damage coming from the ultimate. You've got the Death Ward from the Witch Doctor. But you have Weave, so you have a counter for the physical damage from the Sven, as we do see Febby getting picked off on the IO. Again, another death. I think that was the reveal of the Blink. No, he hasn't actually bought it yet. Just a solo kill for Shiki. The Wisp just hasn't had much of a presence in this game, Gods.
He did in the first, like, maybe 8 minutes or so, like, with all the pressure he applied, and then that one good rotation bottom lane, but since then, it's just been very little that Febby can get done. He's just hit level 6, though, so he does have Relocate available, but
looks like he tried to use it to escape that gang,
yeah,
but ended up being unable to in the end. So it's on cooldown for a while here. And CDEC just walking into the pit. They've got vision everywhere. They certainly are going to win any team fight with the Gyrocopters farmed as this. And MVP, all they can do is split push and farm. But only for a few moments. The Roche will drop, and with that, where do you reckon CDEC go? Do they just push in this bottom lane? Do they just barrel down mid and say we're far enough ahead?
No, they're not going to barrel down mid. They haven't picked up a lot of their key items. Gyrocopter doesn't have BKB. Lion's about 600-700 away from a Blink Dagger. Brute's sitting on a good pile of gold. Hasn't actually bought anything apart from the basic Treads, Medallion, Soul Ring. So much more likely we see them try and take the tier 1 and tier 2 bottom lane with maybe 4 heroes while Brood stays bottom, because Brood can keep farming and controlling this Radiant jungle. So I don't think they want to fully 5-man, because it's just not really efficient when they're still missing a few key items, but they want to apply pressure. So they'll at least send Gyrocopter top to split push, probably look to join up with him when he reaches the tower so they can safely take a tier 1 to tier 2. They do have to be wary of these relocate ganks finding heroes if they are pushing alone, though, and that's where Brood especially has to be careful.
On the other side of the fence, MVP Phoenix, what's the play now? You're very far behind. CDEC look like they are going to apply a lot of pressure. They lose another top. The Witch Doctor of Nuts getting picked off. What's the overall strategy here if you're MVP? Is it just split push? Is there a way they can take a fight?
Find pickoffs. That's
pretty much it.
That's the main thing they can achieve here. March has got Blade Mail now. It's so hard to find those kills on Brood. He goes, I mean, that was just a blind hook shot. That was not even close. He was just wishful with that one, but it's really hard to find pickoffs because CDEC are going to be grouped as 4 in the top lane, pushing with the Aegis, and then Brood's alone in the jungle. But unless you want to commit like to a gem or something, finding the Brood is very difficult. XZ is just using Spiderlings to scout. He's sending off individual ones to make sure that he's safe. And beyond that, I think you just have to avoid the 4-man push, give up your towers, and you're going to fall further behind for now, but you're just going to make sure you're getting as much.
They're not going to let them push on mid, though. There's the coil. Almost kills off 2. KP able to armlet toggle, but you can't armlet toggle the rocket barrage. They lose the IO duo while still pressuring the top lane. CDEC just countering every play that MVP tried to make. You try to dodge fights, we won't let you do that. You try to come to fights, we'll wreck you there. CDEC just seemed to know every move MVP wants to make.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is coming down to the wards here once again, as we can see. Just excellent vision around the map. It kind of narrows down where MVP are, even if you don't directly have vision on them. And now they'll go for top without giving up even a single tower here so far, aside from that tier 1 top. But that's hardly an important tower with the way the lanes are always pushing.
No, this is just perfect description what CDEC are doing. Like you said, they have an answer for everything. You think they're 4-man pushing top while Brood farms jungle? Like, they figured that out. And they say, okay, well, the answer is we just split push mid. But CDEC say, we're not just going to let you get away with playing greedy and pushing our tier 1 tower. We'll stop our push to get a pick off and then continue the push right after.
We are not even 16 minutes in, and this team is going high ground with a BKB Aegis Gyro who's diving the tier 4s, trying to bait out any kind of spell. They only throw out a Stormhammer for now, but will it matter? XC just waiting on the backside. He's got an army of Spiderlings to send in if he sees an opening. Broodmother will back off in the end. They're not quite ready to commit on that top lane. They'll swing on towards mid. Aggressive Q as well as XC. They leave just the Lion top. I think he may have... Oh, look at that. The Deso rush from the Brood. This is how you're going to deal with that Sven Warcry with this, and you also can look to take these towers very, very quickly. MVP. Now the Blink also picked up on Garter. Just an endless assortment of items. Everybody getting what they wanted, and now they're making their move on mid. The Blink comes in. Counterplay attempted with the cast, but he will just phase shift it and back off.
This is
not ready to fully commit.
Such a good Deso pickup too, because like you look at what happened when they breached high ground there at the top lane. Jaru zoned everybody back to the tier 4 towers. That tier 3 was completely open.
Clockwork and a Dustin hook onto XC, who's got a Deso. Will kill him first. They committed a relocate, but they're losing the fight so far. Finally, they stun him and bring him down. But look what's happening top. The Gyro doing work on towers as they bring in the puck, searching for follow kills. Perfect ultimate from QO, but just doesn't have the raw firepower. Can't get the kill, and now they look to kite KP. All the while, the Gyrocopter is looking for a tier 3. If not Rex, Garter's the TP out. The Lion lives with just a shred of HP. He's doing rather slow work here in the top lane, and they may yet lose Q2. It's a 2 for 2, but they basically have sacked a tower just for this. If it doesn't die now, it's dying soon enough, and they've got to hoof it back. They can only walk towards the base. The call down deployed. That'll zone out QO. Aggressive, soloing a tier 3 at 17 minutes, and he's got the Aegis, so even if they kill him once, it's going to take a lot more to do it a second time, but it's a full 4-man rotation. Everybody diving on aggressive. They really want to kill Tice. He's got a BKB, and he goes for it. He almost gets QO. Can't quite do it, but now time for round 2. With no call out, with 4 heroes in the neighborhood, this is going to be a tough one. March taking as much as he can. Even a Death Ward thrown out, and they will get a nice kill. Ends up being a 3 for 2, but they lost a tower for that.
I think as much as that overall was like looked like CDEC were out kind of maneuvering them, getting the tier 3 tower top, that was like the best possible result MVP could hope for. The pick off on the Brood into a good team fight bottom. They had to give up. Anytime MVP at this stage want to gain something, they're going to have to give something up somewhere else.
Well, they found the Brood. CDEC starting to give up a couple of additional kills here. XC on the run. He looks to fight, but with the stun, he's got no chance of life stealing. We'll drop once more. Now Puck moving in from the Radiant H's simultaneously in mid. It's Q engaging with QO. They're just constantly playing aggressive here, CDEC, and something that MVP may be able to turn against them. Haven't lost Rax yet. They're down a lot when it comes to net worth here. Every single hero on CDEC still outfarming their counterpart. But you have to remember just how many towers they're up. They're up 5 towers already, as well as the earlier Roshan. Should they lose a big fight, and suddenly MVP gets those towers on their side, the game could quickly equalize.
Yeah. It's all about buying time. Get KP more and more farm, and at some point, you win a big team fight in a one-sided fashion, those towers will drop, and those are just money bags waiting to be acquired for MVP. If they can hold... Oh, KP.
Oh, no, that's a costly catch there. They do relocate, though. They're going to look to turn this. Garter has no ultimate available. The Puck trying to stall, and KP starting to do what work he can. The coil won't end up breaking. He's going to survive here. CDEC committing heavily on this. Can they bring down Febby? No! He makes it out. Great save there by Febby, nicely juked by KP, and they live to fight another day, gods.
Febby has been the MVP for MVP throughout the wildcard matches so far. He's come up big in so many of these games. In the opening series, his Bounty Hunter was incredible. Even this game with Io, as much as he's had a rough game, he's done as he was those 2 early kills for MVP. He was behind both of them. So that, again, a huge play where he saves KP there. That's the kind of pickoff which would just negate everything MVP have kind of gained in the last 2 to 3 minutes. That fight bottom lane, the double kill on the Gyrocopter, killing the Aegis, as well as killing him when he respawned. You lose all of that if your Sven goes down there. So that was a big save coming out from Febby.
Looks like KP saving a lot of gold here. Do you expect just to see a BKB? Oh, he's already purchased the component. So He's going to get a BKB, and on paper, CDEC have only a cooldown slow and incapacitating bite to try and really deal with this. But I believe our puck for CDEC is working on an Aghanim Scepter. No, he's gone back for the Dagon. Probably still tries to complete the Ags next.
Yep, he'll see this and be thinking about the Ag
That
Scepter.
may be how they deal with the Sven. Just drop the coil on him, and from there, he's locked down. It's such a good ultimate if he gets off the stun, even through the BKB.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to deal with, but there's still... And at this point, the great thing about the IO is that it does give Sven a constant sustainability throughout the fight. So even when the BKB wears off, like, you can still fight so well, especially if you're armlet toggling. You combine that with the IO tether. If IO can stay alive in these fights, he offers a lot to keep Sven active, but...
Well, it really feels like the map control has started to shift a little bit away from CDEC gods, with the Brood getting punished for getting caught out of position. Xe has started to retreat a little bit towards his side of the map. They've been able to push out the rest of the lanes. Sven completes his BKB now, and they start to get more control over their own jungle. Still a fairly sizable CDEC lead, but it feels like MVP haven't tilted or completely lost their mental edge. They didn't lose Rax. They had that great hold earlier when Gyro tried to solo push the top lane. And it's just a matter of one good fight. If they get it, they could be right back in this.
Yeah, one good fight and they take a lane of Rax or win the game. That's where the Brood Desolator could have been an incredible item for ending the game fast, but right now it's an item that hasn't worked out just because of how well MVP found pickoffs on the Brood 2 in a row and then dealt with the Gyrocopter who was split pushing top lane. But still an item that could come into play if CDEC can win a fight. And they're still eyeing off that next Roshan. So while it hasn't worked out this game, the idea behind it really was sound for CDEC.
Still a minute and change here before that Rosh will be active. But CDEC's still in good enough map control that they probably grab this one. MVP, we'll see if they even have an opportunity to contest. It's CDEC on the move. They smoked up, I think, just out of vision of that Radiant Ward near the top burn as they were up on the cliff. So not actually scouted here. But MVP still playing conservatively. They don't see a single hero on the map aside from just the Dazzle bottom.
Ooh.
And with that, they're only pushing top.
And they've spotted out KP here in the jungle, but this is not a kill you can easily find. Febby's just sitting behind, has the relocate to save him if you
gotta be careful not to BKB and leave himself on an island, though. Can't tether when he is. Now the cooldown coming through the chain stun. No chance for a tether, and Febby did relocate, but there's just no way. That was too quick.
Yeah, now he may die twice.
Oh, they know it happened. They're gonna get two. Costly for MVP. No buyback on Sven. Down for 40, but with Rosh about to respawn, probably not gonna cost them Rax, but will almost certainly cost them that Roshan.
With Sven dead, the
creeps are pushing on mid here.
Yeah, they have to bring this mid wave. They've got 28 seconds.
We'll see. Maybe they try to go high ground. The safe play would just to be to push out the top lane and grab Roshan.
Maybe just some chip damage. Yeah, like you've got the Desolator. You can at least get a bit of damage into this tier 3 tower. You see the split push happening top, and the best way to do a split push is to say we're going to actually threaten your high ground, your Rax, and they're actually not going to go for mid. They're going to go for top with the creep wave entering the base through mid.
And the Desolator really coming into play here now. That Rax rather going to drop very quickly. Nuts throws out a cast, but against the spider lanes doesn't offer you a whole lot of control on the heroes. He starts to swing around, Queen of Pain leaping forward. They really want to force out a BKB if possible. And they don't quite grab the Rax. They focus the melee, which will slowly regenerate should they back. So in the end, it looks like it's not really going to get a whole lot done here for CDEC.
Yeah, it stopped the split push at top. Like that's, you see the Queen of Pain split pushing top. That's how you kind of force him back. But
that's true.
It's still like no one really comes out on top. Queen of Pain doesn't get anything at top. They don't get the Rax, but CDEC now can at least use this to reset, farm their side of the map, push out the top lane, and then take Roshan once they feel safe doing so.
Let me ask you about the Rosh. Do you think MVP can fight in the pit? Do you think they've got the items, the levels that they need to take CDEC in an all-out brawl, a 5v5?
I think they do, but I think the problem is the map control aspect, where CDEC can scout the map using spiderlings. They've got vision up. They've got a gem now on Puck, so he can deal with the map. And CDEC are only going to go for Rosh when they feel it's safe, when they've got lanes pushed out, when they see enough heroes on the map, and they feel like MVP, if they can contest it, it's going to be doing so in an out-of-position way. They're going to have Clockwork hookshotting in from afar. He's not going to have the backup he needs, so I think if CDEC go for it too soon, yeah, MVP can win a fight there, but CDEC for the most part have played very polished, and I think that's unlikely to happen.
The line is drawn. They do have a hook shot here to block a BKB TP. They also have the burst to possibly bring the Gyrocopter of Aggressive down before he gets off a spell. There's no tier 1. The stun comes in. He BKB dodges it, quickly TPs, but there's the hook. Oh, does end up canceling it. Now the Death Lord, they'll bring him down and force out the BKB as well. Oh, almost. One more auto just to be safe. QO says, time for an ultimate. I think they had it anyway, but no reason to risk it. But with all those spells and cooldowns expended, CDEC will take the Roche anyway.
Yeah, Sonic Wave, Hookshot, and Godstring.
And the Death Ward as well.
They'll go for Roshan with Gyrocopter dead. Actually, no, they stopped doing so.
They're scared. I'm rather surprised, given everything that was used. Not to mention MVP was top.
They still see the Sven top, but I think they're worried about the relocate in while they don't see the other 3 heroes. So if those 3 heroes are smoking towards Roshan and the relocate comes their way, suddenly things go badly.
But they're getting their puck into position now. There's a haste turn up on Shiki, and he's moving in from the south. Also surging forward a little bit is the Dazzle. Shiki wants the solo kill. Will he find anyone? He wants Febby, but the cask is going to bounce. There's the follow-up stun from Sven. Then the hook shot as well. Can they actually bring him down? They cog him back, push him away. He barely is able to jaunt himself back towards safety, then gets mech'd up. Man, that's a farm Dazzle. And with that, though, Io will also complete his own mech. So they don't take Roche. They never took the lane of Rex top. Now they move back into the pit, and it seems this time with 5 alive and the Gyro BKB back up and operational, at long last they'll get that Aegis.
Yeah, it's so hard to contest this when you're on the Radiant side. You're versing a team who they can solo with Brood. I mean, it takes a long time to do so, but that was mostly XE just working away in Roshan, and Gyrocopter didn't show up until Roche was already practically dead and just to take the Aegis. So.
Look at this. That's some nice control for the Sven now. Out comes the Aghanims on the puck. If he gets caught by the coil initially, they can just run away, throw the call down at him, wait for the weave to really kick in, and just try to time out that BKB.
Yeah. Sven's idea is make sure he kills someone like during the stun duration of Stormhammer, Hookshot, whatever it may be, because he's going to be locked in place. He can do a ton of damage. He even went back for the Mask of Madness after the BKB, but he's got to make sure he kills someone right next to him during stuns, because once he's coiled, he's kind of stuck in that small little
that general, like, yeah, that little zone.
Like, you can attack heroes in this small circle. Anybody outside, no, you can't go for them for a good 5 seconds, so you've got to really wait out that coil. I
guess you've always got the relocate option, but even then, you're just going to be out of the fight at that point, so
yeah.
We'll see how they want to play it. They are going to smoke up again. That's 2 smokes in about as many minutes here from MVP. If they're not out, they've got to be low. And should they not get anything with this one, they may have to sit in the base for some time to come. Butterfly up now on your Gyrocopter. There's really no answer for this. No MKB in sight for the Sven. A long time before he could complete it. It's really going to be tough to track him down and burst him in the fights.
Now they're on the move still, headed to the north with this. They're really trying to find a pick-off, but it looks like CDEC are just grouped as 5. They're going down mid lane. They haven't actually taken that top racks despite the tier 3 going down some time ago. And
are we going to see that same rotation? Just push in mid, then go top? What's the play here for CDEC? They also smoke. Both teams chewing through these at a rather rapid rate.
For CDEC again, it's going to be force MVP back by just split pushing. I don't know how much they're going to commit to the high ground push. If they can catch someone like KP, this is where the line Blink Hex can be such a worry.
And they also see Febby. A good coil on both could really start this fight off nicely. They're a bit far back though, and actually the puck is moving towards top. Shiki wants to punish the split push. He's about to find QO's Queen of Pain, but can he solo kill him? I don't think so. He'll push out the lane for now. QO swinging back around. Has the BKB, so he should be fine against the puck.
Yeah, so the Dire Smoke was worth it just for this ward. This ward gives them so much information on the high ground, and that's something MVP may not figure out for some time until like spells start throwing onto the high ground or something. But
and if you don't smoke, you're not getting that. They'll see you outside the base, and then they're immediately just going to sentry it. So, like you said, absolutely worth it.
Wasn't maybe the initial intent with their smoke, but they kind of get something out of it regardless. And for MVP, it's like they're going to constantly try and split push top lane, but CDEC can kind of keep tabs of heroes. They see 3 on the high ground. They're going to know that where 1 or 2 other heroes are on the map, or at least have a good idea that they are trying to split push.
Oh, QO. Finally, the trap has been sprung. Quick finger. The follow-up hex coming through, and then zapped again by Shiki. Lasers everywhere as CDEC, at long last, able to find a kill. Still, you gotta say, Gods, MVP showing remarkable resilience here, not losing a lane of Rax. It looked like this game could end in 15 minutes. CDEC 5-manning top, they took down the tower. But they kind of got spread out in that one fight. MVP able to get 3 kills and hold a lane of racks, and ever since then, it's just been a much slower game, more to their liking.
I love how Nuts is like the backup split pusher top. Oh, you picked up our Queen of Pain? Guess what? The split push continues. Witch Doctor is waiting in the trees.
It reminds me so much of AUI 2000 back on Cloud9, just always chilling in the trees, waiting for the easy opening. But now here comes the real push, and this one with full strength. CDEC, the entire gang in position, moving forward. They've got vision towards the south from the ward. They've got vision towards the north from Aggressive. Very tough for MVP to get the jump, and they're all out of smokes, I believe, at this point. And even if they had one, you still expect them to go. And now they move on mid. They've already gotten 1 melee Rex. They're looking for more. The split push is going slowly for MVP, and they're going to need to back. Come, defend the base. Can they find an opening of any kind? A Stormhammer could be BKB dodged here, and still the Dazzle Weave goes. Hook, not even thrown out. You have to worry about a solitary Spider blocking this one in the webs. They'll continue to clean them up. Still Aggressive in front, and still not even being tickled. He's muscled down yet another tower. MVP, it's now or never. You can't give up 2 racks for nothing, but still they wait, trying to find that opening, and now they make their move. It's on to Garter. QO goes, isolates the line, who quickly goes up because they hook to follow up, and they weren't on Aggressive. Beautiful chain still coming out, but not enough, and now the cooldown will completely annihilate Nuts. QO's next. He went in deep, and he'll pay for it with his life. Febby relocates out, but he didn't bring KP. KP will fall as well. They've lost 3 already. Double buyback, make it 4. The clockwork down. QO with the dieback down for 90, and it looks like CDEC may well be headed to the main event, gods. They were the slight favorites coming in, and they're looking rather dominant here. 2 lanes of racks about to come for them, if not megas, if not straight up GG. They rotate onto bottom. The Gyrocopter going to immediately heal up. He's actually at a full heal from this regen rune, and now we'll move on to the bottom lane. CDEC just crushing through MVP.
Yep.
They're headed to the lower bracket, it seems. This game all but over. The base is crumbling, and MVP Phoenix are not out of the woods just yet. Although they look good in their first match, they're not even guaranteed in the main event, and they've got a tough and very hungry opponent waiting for them in the lower bracket. That's Megas. And with that, only a matter of time here before MVP call it. They'll now go back to on. There's actually still Rage Rex there, but Aggressive is going to take care of that as KP gets caught out. Hexed instantly. Where's the support from Febby? He doesn't ever relocate. Not much he can do. Just overcharge and hang on. Not good enough. He'll go down a dieback on the Sven. March to fall as well. And Febby on the run. He'll be next. He GG's out quickly, but he won't get out of the game before yet another kill. 24-8. CDEC just looking solid in this game number 2. They will be in the main event.
Just watching how they play and like how they win these games, they are so polished. Their decision making in the mid to late game is well above any of these other teams. The fact that they consistently recover from poor early game starts. I don't think either of these games against MVP they were ever really that far behind, or if anything they weren't behind at all in this game. In game 1.